working, so I guess we can get going here. Welcome, everybody. My name is Jeff Riddles. I'm the producer of Franchise Hockey Manager. Normally, I'd have Adam, our community manager, on with us, but he's feeling a little under the weather today, so I am flying solo tonight, so bear with me. I'm watching this. I've got two streams to check here for questions. I've got the OOT Developments channel and the FHM specific channel to look after. So I see Rit Flyers in there, eh, Nick? And actually, Nick, I got something specific I want you to take a look at, so hang in there for a sec. What I'm going to do tonight is we did the big announcement for FHM 8, which is releasing next Tuesday, the 26th, morning of the 26th. I think it'll be up about 6 a.m. Pacific time on Steam. Not sure about the standalone version, but it'll be presumably the same morning. What we did on Monday was show you the trailer and give you the official announcement of everything and go through all the new features. So this is going to be a little more free form. I've got a couple of games set up. I'm just going to take you through, show you some of the new features, answer any questions you've got. So feel free to ask. Like I said, I'm watching two channels at once, so my head is kind of swiveling back and forth looking for questions. So give me a second if I don't get to it right away. So the first thing I've got here is this is a season I've simmed out up until the playoffs, 21-22. And what I've done with this is in the... oh, I didn't do that. Okay, well, I picked the wrong thing when I was setting this up. My mistake. So it's the conclusions I thought I was going to get out of this aren't quite right. But anyhow, the new thing that I had done here, we've got... Whoops. The new thing I had done here, we've got a couple of new simulation options in the game settings screen. Instead of simming all the games in the old engine or all of them in a new engine, which is fairly slow if you're going to, particularly when you're running a standard game with all of these leagues set to playable. That would take a while. What you can do is have, what I've got here and what the new default is showing your own games or simming your own games in 2D and everything else using the classic engine, which is going to be fairly fast. There's not going to be a noticeable difference between that and doing everything in classic. The one I meant to do and forgot to was having my own league. In this case, the NHL simulating all of their games. And getting everything through 2D and Nick Rit Flyers in chat. By the way, if you may want to follow him, he's a regular FHM streamer, and I'm assuming once we get FHM 8 out, he'll be streaming that as well. He pointed out in the test forum the other day that the stats were scoring was looking a little high in 2D mode over the course of the season. And I was going to show, no, that's fine, but because I chose the wrong setting, this is going to be mostly in classic mode. So I will have to run another test on that again tonight. Nancy Pirate, yes, indeed, I am reading with the chat as well as I can because I'm looking at two channels here. Oh, great. FK and Commish LB with the rating with a party of 116. Didn't see that coming. Thank you. Just to recap what I'm doing here, we announced FHM 8 earlier in the week, and we are, we've got the trailer up on the Steam store page if you want to go take a look at that and get the official version of everything. But what I'm doing this week is just going there. This tonight is going through things a little more informally, taking any questions you might have, and showing off some of the features that I didn't have a chance to get to on Monday. So let's see I've got this to the playoffs, so I think I'll show you some of the new 2D stuff here. And I'm just going to go with all the AI settings for the lines. I didn't actually play this season out. I let the AI control the Canucks for most of it, and apparently they decided to sign Eric Stahl, and I think I saw Patrick Marleau in the lineup too during the season, which I'm not sure I'd be happy if Jim Benning actually did that in real life, but let's go with it. And we've apparently got the Oilers in the first round, and here you can see one of the new things we've added, the hockey cards. We've got these in a couple of places now. We just added them to another screen the other day. So this is the original place we put them in, And we want to do a few more things with these. There's an older version of this that looks more like a 70s, 80s card when you're playing in historical. And I want to add some different variations on that, so you can get something that looks like the really old cards, maybe in black and white if you're playing back in the 20s and 30s, but that'll be coming. Okay, we can go ahead and play that. Other than that, the pregame screen is pretty similar to what you've already seen. And let me see what settings I've got here, just so I don't deafen you. Okay, it's on mute. For some reason the audio comes through super loud when I'm streaming. Don't know why, but and I want to watch the full one. I'm going to turn on the two. I want to break for anything else. The two new on ice decisions options and the use in-game feedback, which you will see what they do in a second. And since I've got the full one on, the teams will come out and do a little skate around for the warm-up. Okay, not seeing any questions yet. FK and Commissioner B, thanks for the raid. And there's not a huge number of changes in the online mode this year. We're kind of limited by what Out of the Park decides to do with their online, and right now their focus is on the card game. So ideally, I'd love to see it where if we could get something in where it's more of a server-based thing and a real-time thing rather than having to send the files back and forth. But we basically don't have the resources to do that on our own. It'd be a huge overhaul of the game engine. Okay, so first thing we've got here, I win the opening face-off, and this is completely optional. If you don't want to go into this amount of depth when you're playing a game, you don't have to. But Boeser gets the puck, and I can decide what I want to do. He's at mid-ice right now. I'm wondering if maybe we should change that location of that menu or reduce the opacity of it, make it a little more translucent so you can see what's going on, because it's kind of covering up the play right now. But he's at mid-ice. I don't really want to shoot from this position. Let's just have him. I'm going to hit number 3, and he'll skate it in a little bit. That's us in white, by the way, Oilers in blue. And didn't get very far. He did skate with it. When you get those on-ice decisions, it will sometimes, and Demko makes the save. Oh, did I have a break on? No, I guess stopping for the face-offs. Okay. When you make those on-ice decisions, the player may or may not decide to go along with what you want to do. And looks like Demko's giving it to Hughes. So he's right on top of the goal, so I'm just going to dump it out from here. And skates it out. He actually tries for a pass instead. So he's not limited to necessarily doing the things I tell him to do. There's a note down at the bottom. You'll see, tells you how coachable the guy is and whether or not he's going to probably follow you in your instructions or not. So it's over to Highmore. Don't see a lot of passing. Yeah, we definitely need to show more of what's going on. Or figure out a way to make that window a little less obtrusive. Cut the size to the width a bit, maybe. Okay, let's try for a pass cross. Oh, geez, I shouldn't have gone for a pass because he dumped it backwards. Okay, let Myers skate it out. And he moves around a little bit, and okay, now Sutter, pass it up ice, hopefully. There we go, right direction. And Mott can skate it forward a little bit. The way we originally had this set up, it was asking basically at every decision point where the AI would make a choice in the game, in the under the hood, the engine part. It was asking you for input, which was way too much. And oh, Jesus, come on, Mott, do something. There we go. Finally took a shot. It got to be way too much. So what it does now, it basically only asks you at the start of player possession. So if somebody gets the puck, like Ekman Larsson did right there, I get asked what to do. He will decide what to do, and if he gets it to a teammate, then I get a choice for a teammate. But as long as he's got the puck, I won't get asked again. And just dumping it up there to Dickinson, and Patan can skate. yeah, basically that's a and the question no TP chat. That's kind of what I was aiming for. If anybody played APBA hockey back in the day, the text game. Geez, these guys are hanging on to the puck a little bit too long in the offensive zone, but it is my fourth line, I think. And Rathbone can shoot from the point. It had something similar to this, not quite as in-depth, but it would let you decide whether you wanted to skate it in, dump it in, pass, take a shot. So I've kind of elaborated on that a little, and obviously we've got the whole animation thing on top of that. Oh, you're actually playing the board game, the APB board game cast. That's I never played that. I played Stratomatic. I played a really ancient thing called the World's Greatest Hockey Game, and I think I'm gonna. So you guys have seen most of that. I'm gonna turn the on ice decisions off for a second and just let the play go. The other thing I can show you is I won't switch it to this yet, but I've got the option here of these are all the highlights ones that I couldn't show you because I just had a screenshot during the official presentation. So I can turn the highlights off completely and it'll just sim out the game, which is a useful thing to do if you want to. And actually, I'll show you that right here. I'm going to turn the highlights off. And you can see I've got the quick sim speed set to very fast. So as soon as I take it out of full mode, whenever I'm playing, it's going to quick sim to the next highlight, or in this case, because I've got no highlight selected, it will either go to the next goal or sim to the end of the period. And you can also see the ice is degraded over the course of the period, getting a little more blue and getting a little more scuffed up. And the Oilers open the score on. They got 2 goals there. I missed the first one. Now we're in between the first and second period, so we've got some coaching decisions to make here. And in this case, Ekman Larsson is a little bit confused. Isn't really following your instructions for the way you want him to play. That's an internal mechanic in the 2D engine that basically compares what the player would do naturally to what you're telling him to do in terms of his specific role for this game and the one he expects. I think given there's a contract setting that will tells the player what sort of a player he's in general terms going to be over the course of the season, and he can get confused between those 3 things, and in that case he will revert back to his natural style of play. But we can try to push him back to what we want him to do. So I'll do that in this case, and okay, great, he gets it now. So he's going to be fine, and we don't have any other warnings. Now, no highlights off. Actually, I'll switch to all goals, and we'll just watch on the goals. Yeah, Radcast, happy to come on whenever you guys want me back. And now it's Myers that's having trouble, so I'm wondering if these roles might not be set very well by the AI. Explain to Myers, okay, he's better. And do I want to play out no, I'll just wait for the goals here. Are we going to get something here? That's the Oilers again from the point and beaten stick side. Demko. 4-0. So we got shut down hard this first playoff game. That's another thing we've added here, the little goal celebration. Sebastian threw that in a few weeks ago. We can probably elaborate on that a little bit later on and make him do some more cute stuff like, circle down by the bench, taunt the goalie. And I think okay, there we go. Here's an example of the in-game feedback. You saw the between period stuff. This is the same system. And here you can see Rathbone's getting lit up a little bit. So it doesn't really matter at this point, but I'm going to have him play a little more conservatively just for the sake of showing you how it works. And the end of the third, and we lose game 1 of the playoffs, 3-0. So what we get here is the standard post-game screen again with the cards. And apparently Patan was our best player of the game. That's not good news. the new thing we've got here, I showed you this briefly during the Monday show, is the post-game analysis screen. So this lets me, from this one, I can take a look at everything that went right during this, and it's particularly useful in the playoff series because you can take a look at what's going on for the other team too, and if there's some guy that's that you need to shut down, you may figure out how to do it from this. So Borowiecki, who I think we got in a trade, blocked a few shots. Dickinson was good in the face-off circle. Rathbone, as we saw, ouch, got beaten 9 times. That's basically just letting the puck handler, not being able to obstruct the puck handler when he tried to. So it's not necessarily, you know, getting beaten completely cleanly, but trying to hold a guy up and not successfully doing it. And oh yeah, a bunch of roll confusion. That's definitely something that I should take a look at. Yeah, rolls probably didn't get set that well. The busiest players, that's just a measure of a variety of things. Pass attempts, shots, what else? Well, I can't remember offhand what they are, but just gives you an idea of what players were the most influential in the game and who had the was the most visible. Well, and just noticed that it seems to be all defensemen. I don't know if that's a fluke or if that's something I need to take a look at in the code maybe. Offensive zone usage, that's mainly based on zone starts. So Miller, Garland, and another guy we traded for, I guess, Andreas Johnson, tend to start in the offensive zone, and Hoglander, Myers, and Borowiecki in the defensive zone. Anything interesting on the Oilers? Yeah, you see they had much better luck with players staying in their role. There's a few that we're only seeing some of the basic post-game analysis stuff here. There's a few other special statuses that will tell you things like if a guy got targeted for a big hit, if a guy looked intimidated, if he was taking runs at people, and in a sense that he was out of control, got upset at being hit and started chasing people trying to get even. It'll tell you that, but in this case it's been a pretty plain vanilla game, and the box score is as it always was. Just going to take a quick second to look at the chat. Radcast asking if you can change the roles from that screen and then go back to change more player roles. No, you got to do the role changes have to come from the tactics screen. If I was playing this seriously, I would go in now and see what the heck is going on with all the role confusion we've got. Doesn't seem too terrible. Actually, it's better done from the screen too. Okay, nice. I'm a little surprised we're getting that much. Or who was the guy that had trouble with it? Myers was one. And he was set as a stay-at-home defenseman. He's can play two-way as well, but that really is his best role. Not sure why he was confused over that other than he's Tyler Myers. May take a little, check that in the code. Northern Sky drag and drop lineups, like moving in, picking somebody up and moving them. Whoops. Oh, that's why. That's odd. Why is that? Oh, I've got the coaching assistant turned on. That's why it's not letting me do any of that. But yeah, you can. Although the exception is the standalone version. There's a problem with FastSpring that we haven't been able to resolve, and we're unfortunately not getting a lot of tech support help from them, where we can only use the click and point method to move players around on lines. Savoy72 in the FHM chat asking what happens if the player doesn't understand his role. That means he just reverts to his natural style of play. So it'll pretty much devolve to, say, Ekman Larsson in this case, whichever one, point shooter, two-way defenseman, mobile defenseman, or shutdown No, it wouldn't be shutdown defense, but I'm guessing these three are probably fractionally ahead of the others. So he would wind up doing whichever one of those had the highest internal preference for him. So he won't do anything completely stupid. He'll just do things the way he wants to do them, as opposed to the way you might want him doing that. Ratcast is a 2D chalkboard showing the actual player numbers. Don't understand the question. Which 2D chalkboard? Going to advance the game a little bit while I'm... Oh, the ranked view? Hang on a sec. And there you can see that we just added the cards into the little delay screen. When you don't have any games on a given day, it'll pop up, and you saw that briefly. You'll get 3 random cards there. The little squares have numbers. Yeah, it's showing the the 2D view shows the actual player numbers, and there's a setup screen option. I can go back to the start screen and show you the settings there. You can decide where to place them, and you can also mod in your own graphics, or no, you can't add specific numbers yet. And I want to get, it's been asked a couple of times in the forum. I know people want to be able to show the names of the players. We've tried it, and it looks a little awkward, but if people want it, I think we can do that relatively easily. Keltroid Red Flames, does that mean if you put Ekman Larsson as a goon, you wouldn't get the effect on the opposing team you normally would have from goon in the past? Yeah, if you tell him to go out there and play like a goon, he's probably not going to play like a goon. You got to have the enforcer types in that role. Anybody else is, some of the tougher guys may go along with it, but somebody whose style is completely different from that, very unlikely he's going to try and go out there and fight people. Okay, just trying to get to game 2 and see if we can bounce back a little bit. Okay. I'm just going to do the full AI setup organization, shuffle things around. Oh, I'm going to try resetting the roles and just see if we get any better luck this time with player roles. Actually, where the heck's Pedersen? Oh, okay. That's why we're having trouble. Pedersen, at least 1 day left on his injury. Counters at 1, and still day-to-day beyond that with a hip strain. And looks like Bo Horvat has torn his hamstring, so we're missing that. That's a big hole. And it looks like Tyler Mott sprained his ankle in game 1. So yeah, no wonder the Oilers are beating up on us. And we'll just watch the goals in this one, I think. Hopefully we'll actually score some this time. But you can see the way this, with, and more role confusion, it's Myers again. Come on. And he didn't figure them out, and it's, okay, this is new, something new. We're out hitting them badly. Should we play things a little safer by decreasing the hitting tendency setting by 1 step? So that's one of the tactical tendency settings you'd be setting up from the tactics screen. And rather than having to go in there and dig for it, you just get a little advice from the AI here and say, okay, yeah, we'll do that. We don't need to be playing them that quite as physical. Although maybe we do. And face off in our zone. That's not going to end well. Oh, no, that's us. That's us. We're blue. I'm used to thinking, seeing the Canucks in blue, but we're white because we're on the road in Edmonton. And we get the goal, little goal celebration, and it's Highmore from Rathbone and Patrick Marleau, who we've signed for some reason. Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying, Keltroid Red Flames. You want to, if you're going to do that, you're probably going to want to use the new option to play all the human team games, all the games in the Human League in 2D mode. You'll get a better result that way. And 2-0 for us. Okay, we'll try to explain to Myers again, and Myers still don't get it. Come on, dude. And the Oilers moving around, and in close shot makes it 2-1. So the settings I was showing you earlier on the start screen, you can move that. It's actually a little, because I've got the. Well, let me zoom it in here to show you the standard zoom level, in which case you can see the numbers a whole lot better. I had it zoomed all the way out because I wanted to show off the new crowds. And the Oilers tie it up. But you can see at this resolution, you can see the numbers much more clearly. Oh yeah, 2D mode and the classic engine are completely separate. We totally rewrote the game engine last year when we added 2D mode. I keep working to get the actual game results, like the statistical levels should be as close as humanly possible in the two modes. And wow, another one? Come on. They should be very similar in the two modes. There's still a couple areas that are a little not quite as good in one or the other. They both got their own strengths. The 2D, there's a couple of stats in 2D that are not quite as good as the classic mode puts out, but something like fighting, for example, 2D produces much better results than the old classic engine. And we tied it up. I'm not even bother trying to explain to Myers anymore. See if anybody else has got it better. For Colson. Okay, at least for Colson's got it. And we got the Oilers tied on the road. Here's one of the things I was mentioning before. Tanner Pearson looks intimidated after being run over repeatedly, so we go after the guy that's been hitting him, and hopefully that takes away his intimidation. And Bowie's getting beat a lot. Let's back off a little bit. No, I don't want to keep hitting that guy. That's just he's been running our guy. Okay, I'll try explaining to Myers and still nothing. And I think we got a little glitch with the goal highlights there. It didn't show the overtime winner. Didn't notice that before. What happened? 51 seconds in, yeah, didn't it skip the overtime goal? I got to let Sebastian know, and we'll get that fixed in time for release. So that was good to know. This is as much testing as anything else for me. Let me see, what else can I show you from this game? Oh, the monthly finances. Oh, we just went past it. Too bad. I should have shown you that on the first day. But you can see the new finances screen, and the Canucks are making a lot of money at the moment because they're back in the playoffs. And they've actually got, the AI is spending a lot of money on my behalf. They've cranked up everything to the maximum levels. So scouting support is high. Team morale is going to be helped. And the attendance should be way up too. And we're at about 1,000 points, which... Okay, not good enough to improve arena quality, not good enough to put much money away for a new arena, but should mostly cover my major expenses. And I got to look at that player development. That's a little too cheap right now. But at least we won't have to raise the ticket prices next year. But hey, it's Canucks, they'll probably do that anyhow. Okay. Oh, and you can see it's a little bit better than you did earlier in the week. I just went over it briefly. It gives you the season summary screen, all your expenses and revenues since the start of the year. So the starting amount at the end of the month, and we've seemed to be going pretty steadily up. Dipped down a little bit while we weren't playing games, but once the game revenue started coming back in. We should have a jersey sales updated here. Yeah, NHL jerseys sales. Matthews first in the league. Yeah, the Toronto guys at the top, no surprise. Anybody surprising? No, not really. Pretty much all the popular guys you'd expect to have big jersey sales are at the top there. And for the Canucks, oh, no, Pettersson, although he has been hurt lately. And we had people buying Stahl's jersey, I guess, after he got signed. I guess so. Halak, surprisingly, number 4. Has he been playing that much? Oh, no, that's another thing I should mention. I know we've had a few complaints in the past about the way the AI tended to use goalies. They would sometimes use the goalie who wasn't quite as good a lot more often than the starter. But if I'm going through this, I'm going to check there. Yeah. And Samsonov should be on top. And you can see everyone I'm looking at here on the pop-ups. It's the weaker goalie who's getting fewer starts than the better goalie. So we've cleaned that up a little bit. One other thing that I just thought of as long as we're in here, the problem with players on waivers, being claimed on waivers and then teams immediately sending them down and not having to expose them to waivers again. We found a little workaround for that. What it'll do now is gives the player, let's see, let me find one to show you. But I got to find somebody who was waived first. Okay, so Travis Boyd picked up on waivers by Columbus from Arizona, I guess, yeah. And you can see what he's got here is a temporary no movement clause. So for the remainder of the season, you can't trade him, you can't send him down. I know it doesn't work exactly that way in the NHL, but it would be extremely difficult to code in the rule that says you have to offer him back to the original team if you want to send a guy down after you're claiming him on waivers, or if you want to trade him. So we picked this as a workaround, so he gets a no movement clause till the end of the season. You pick a guy up on waivers, basically, you can't do anything with him for the rest of the year. You're stuck with him on the roster. And we've also adjusted the waiver AI a little bit, so it's not quite as trigger happy for the on making claims on guys, knowing that restriction may have an impact on the way the AI manages its rosters. Radcast exhibition games, can we play as visitors? Nope, that's still, I meant to talk to Sebastian about a couple of changes there. I asked him something the other day and he hasn't gotten back to me yet. There may be a couple of late changes in exhibition mode, but I think the general trend for exhibition games is we're eventually probably going to fold that into custom mode, or you can just create instead of going through that whole separate interface to create an exhibition game, you can just essentially create a tiny league with 2 teams or however many teams you wanted and play the exhibition games in there. And that way you get the better stat tracking that's associated with the league. And you've got a lot more setup options to deal with there. And in that case, you could figure out who you want to play as, which side you want to play as, and all of that. FHM, sorry, I missed a couple in the FHM chat. Is how many points you get, revenue points get based on if you on your attendance. Yeah, it's mostly, let me show you this in a bit of detail here. The monthly finances. You can see the different types of revenue. We've modeled the arenas a little more this year. There's there's premium seats in addition to the luxury boxes, and there's also standing room, which is going to be more common in Europe and maybe the juniors. But you get different levels of revenue for each type of seats. So, and in the off season, you got the option of making changes to your arena to convert some seating into, say, premium seats or luxury boxes to try to increase your revenues that way. Luxury boxes obviously make a lot more money per seat than just your standard tickets. And then you get broadcast revenues on top of that, sponsorship money, player merchandising, which includes the jersey, and the number, the calculation for the player merchandising depends on, in large part, your player popularity, which is also showing you, which also shows up in that jersey sales number. So if you see players, I wonder if we should even expand that to the top 20. That would be a little more useful, I think. You can see if you've got players in the top little group here, like say the Leafs have Matthews, Marner, Tavares, and anybody else. That's it. But if I compare our monthly finances, player merchandising number, a little over 1 million, with the Leafs, I'm guessing the Leafs are a fair bit ahead because they're selling more jerseys. No, only 1 million. Just a little bit ahead. So he must have made up a little bit in the middle ground. And then the owner contributions here. The owner will kick in a little bit of money through the course of the season, just to sort of keep the cash flow working correctly for the team. But if you're in serious financial trouble, that's when the special owner contribution can kick in. And you can, I think you can see the pop-up menu there explaining it. But if you're running into the red here, your owner will try to bail you out. And I haven't done it yet, but when that happens, I think I will change that so that has a big hit to your job security. So if you run into financial trouble, it's going to run you out of a job, even if you're succeeding on the ice. Depending on the circumstances. If you do it once, it's probably not going to be that severe, but if you're constantly in trouble, that's probably going to degrade your job security, but that's not in yet. And then, that's just your revenue total there, and you've got your player expenses and staff expenses down at the bottom. That comes off your starting point total, and you get the ending point total. In this case, we're making more money than we're spending, even despite having the top level and all of these. Maybe I got to look at the costs there. Might be a little too easy to get to the top. But anyhow, that's the Leafs, that's not us. But I think we're making a little bit of money. The Leafs naturally piling up a ton of cash. What time we got here? 7:38. Okay, let me think. Is there a question FHM chat from Bosco 8179? Is there a promotion relegation in historical and Asian? Actually, let me jump over to historical. I was going to do that anyhow. And I can quickly show you something here. I'm going to save it here manually, but after it does this, God, I love solid state drives. Go back to the start screen. I want to load a new game, and I've got this historical game I can show you some of the new stuff in. And I've got this option now here. Don't save current game. Normally, if we did this the old way, I wouldn't have that option. And as soon as I hit OK, it would automatically save the game that was already loaded, that was currently loaded. But I just saved that. I don't need to, so I can turn that off, and we will boom instantly load that. So it saves you a bunch of loading time when you want to switch rapidly between saves, or if you, not that I'm suggesting anybody do this, but if you get a bad result, you can quickly jump back to your last save point that way and not save whatever's gone in the game or whatever's gone wrong. These are the, from the question in FHM, the FHM channel chat. The way the fleshed out European leagues works, there's basically one per team, one per country. And oops, I screwed something up there. I just noticed Madrid is not the capital of Japan. And it's showing the Spanish flag for some reason too. But you do have a Asian league. There's not going to be that many people playing it. I've got this. This is a historical game that I've run from 1917 up to season before last. And you can see that some of the Japanese players are in Japan. There's a few Canadians. Benoit Pouliot, he's pretty over the hill, but he's gone over there. David Rodman, and a few others, but I'll show you the Russian league will be a little more populated. And as can be expected, pretty full of Russians. So that is the simulated KHL, essentially, in historical mode. So if I want to find Ovechkin, and I go back, and it looks like he wound up on Colorado in this game, go back to his career stats, you can see his first 2 years were in that Russian league. Pretty good point totals for a 17, 18-year-old. And then came over at 19, which, that pretty much matches real-life performance. Not bad, not bad. Maybe not quite as good as he was, but had a pretty good career with Colorado, looks like. And same thing, if I want to look at the Canadian player, Adam Fox, no, he's American actually. Played a season of high school. He would have gone on to college, but it looks like Columbus signed him right away. Sorry, voice is giving out here, talking too much. But here you can see Couture has had a season in the generic version of the OHL, which I can show you here. It's under the junior leagues. And you can see there's one here for high school, one here for junior A, and then one each for the OHL, QMJHL, and WHL. And it's empty because we're towards the end of the season. It would normally have more players in this, and we're late in the late in the game, so the database isn't quite as thick here. And that's actually something I'm working on, and I'll be going back to that literally when I'm done here. But the other neat thing you can do here is, since it's basically set up as a team, I can go back and look at the history and WHL career leaderboards. I want to see who had the most penalty minutes in the season. I can go back, and I should have some big numbers from the 70s. Dave Schultz, 1966. And you can see they were playing under different names for the WHL, the CMJHL, I think, for the first couple of years. Then they were the WCHL for a while. And it looks like Schultz in his rookie year put up 404 minutes. And looks like he didn't quite make the NHL. A lot of time in the independent minor leagues, up and down a bit. One huge season in the AHL, 85 points and 536 penalty minutes. That's something I've been working on too, by the way, getting the penalty minute totals a little, making more sense in the, oh good God, 342 penalty minutes in 45 games. Yeah, getting the penalty totals a little higher for the goon type players in the fictional leagues, or the generic type leagues. Or I can, going back to the leaderboards, who's had the most points in the WHL season, I can check that out. And Perry Turnbull, Brian Propa, that's realistic, so similar to what he did in real life there. Those high, crazy point totals in junior, it was more the 70s. They put up the really super high totals, but I should be able to find big ones if I look in for, say, Gretzky, the 1 year he would have played junior. Comes in as a 16-year-old and puts up 151 points in 68 games in the Ontario League. Let's see, any other questions here? Oh, question about, I skipped over that, sorry. Is there promotion, relegation, and historical? Not yet. Still on the list of stuff we'd like to do. We've added the option to add tournaments to custom games. So that is probably going to be coming very shortly to the other two types of games. It was in the beta version this week, but there's a few too many problems in it to put it in with release. So we're just going to take that out for now. But I think you'll be able to add your own custom tournaments to standard mode and historical mode before too long. But promotion, relegation, yeah, that's another thing. It's a little more complicated to do, but it is on the wish list view for sure. And let's see, was there anything else I wanted to show you? Oh, and historical, let me find one of the older players. Actually, let's just go to an old season. If I go back to, say, the 1950s and pull up somebody who is... let's see, kind of middle of the road. Donnie Marshall, let's say. And you can see where he starts here is the Blackhawks junior affiliate. So there was no, I had the setting turned on in this game that deactivates the draft. So there's no draft up until 1963 when the real one happened. Before that, there are the affiliate teams. So the original six teams and the other various NHL teams that existed at that point, at various points between 1917 and whatever year it was the Americans went out of business, 41, I think, 42. When we were down to the original six, but they'll have their own junior affiliate systems too, and players they've got a tendency to show up in somewhat realistic places. Montreal will tend to get guys from Quebec. Toronto will tend to do a little better with the guys from the Toronto area, and if players have a particularly strong connection to their team, like I think it happened in this case. If I look up Gordie Howe, he's probably been a Red Wing in his career. Yeah, he wound up starting, well, it's actually pretty close to what he really did, starting as on the Red Wings affiliate team, signed at 16-17, and then played a season with Indianapolis, or part of the season, played a little bit with the Wings, and then comes up and just stays there for the next 30 years, 18 to 48. So maybe I need to tweak his aging number up by 1 point if he retired at 48. Squeeze a couple more seasons out, but pretty good. Let's see, what's the real point total for him between the NHL and WA was 2368. In game, oh man, terrible. I'm 34 points off. Oh no, sorry, that's including the minor leagues. So still within about 100 odd points. Pretty good over a 30-year career. It's only about 3 points a season off. Okay. Anything, just out of curiosity. Let's see who's won the most championships. And yeah, it's gone fairly well. At least it's done a little bit better than they actually did historically. But you can see how the Canadians have benefited from having that stranglehold on the Quebec players. Well, not quite a stranglehold, but strong preference for Quebec players in the early part of the history. Looks like the WHL got a couple of wins over the NHL in the first few years. So Victoria won once. Two versions of Victoria, 1921, 1923, won the Stanley Cup, and Portland got it in 1918. Before the WA and the Western League goes out of business in 26, I think. Let's see, anything else interesting happened with championships? Leafs are the first, or Flyers, the first expansion team to win the Cup in 71. That's a little earlier. The Leafs, oh, good God. What happened there? Canucks won the Cup in 77. I want to see what team. Oh, okay, I guess that explains it. You got Marcel Dionne, Gilbert Perreault on the team, and Denny Potvin. Yeah, I wish we had that kind of drafting in real life. Denny Herron in goal. Okay, yeah, I would have liked this Canucks team in the mid-70s. Unfortunately, didn't look anything like that. 55, 14, 11. Wow. What did they fall apart after that, or? No, pretty dominant all the way up until they start slowing down in the mid-80s. And 3 Stanley Cups. 83, 84, yeah, that would have made me a happy kid. And Dionne, the all-time points leader. And we got Forsberg at some point, too. Okay, so that's an interesting alt history for the Canucks. Let me see. Is there anything else in historical? I can show you. Actually, I'll advance this one day. Let me just show you the. There we go. There's the other version of the hockey cards. And we also added a little message here warning you that it's going to take a while to go from June 30th to July 1st. That confused a few people who were new to the game in the last few years, so there's just a little bit of an extra alert on there. But I think most people will recognize that style from the late 70s, early 80s. Radcast, do the goalies have the old masks? Nope, not yet. Something I'd like to add at some point, but that gets really difficult to do with face gen. I'd like to give the hit players hair at some point too, but that's even worse. And I think I mentioned the last time you can see there isn't the giant list of scouting retirements here anymore. We should probably add trainer retirements to that too, come to think of it. And Hall of Fame vote for 2019. Yeah, that's pretty much the group that I'd expect to see in the voting around that point. What kind of a crew did Neely have? Stayed with the Hawks the whole time. Looks like he was, well, there's a few seasons with big injury gaps, looks like. And played one season at the end with the Senators. But all in all, let's see, you had 1,000 NHL games versus 726. So a little better career for him in this game. FHM chat, what team is going to be the first rebuild for you and Adam? Haven't decided on that yet. I mean, Buffalo would have made sense, but look what they're doing this season. Maybe I don't know if that's much of a rebuild anymore. If their team is starting 3-0. Let me see. I think is there anything else in here? We still got the old stuff we've added in previous seasons, prospect rankings and positional stuff, et cetera, that we added in previous years. Let's go back to the that game I was showing you earlier. Unless, no, I don't think I have a custom one set up to show you. And you can see in this save this time I didn't turn the don't save option off, so we're not, it did go through that. It did save the game before I loaded a new one. DPRK Chopra in OTV chat, does your team attendance, success, etc. change what local TV rights contract you get? Yeah, that's really old code, but if I'm remembering right, it's based on market. Yeah. Let me look at the team data. It's based on market size primarily, and then fan loyalty, and yes, definitely there's recent successes built into that too. I think it's somewhat related to the way attendance level works, only market size has a much bigger effect. So the Rangers obviously get a ton of money, and say Arizona doesn't. And okay, oh no, that's modern game. I was going to say we had a rivalry evolve there in historical, but that isn't. Anything else here to show off? Oh, scouting reports. I had an old screenshot for those, so I can show you a somewhat newer one on Miller. And we changed the formatting a little bit. You can see there we've got the, oh, we haven't fixed that yet. Oh, wait, so it's working in some places. The little ... the ellipsis connecting the statements, the numbers here, just a debugging thing, because I've got that on while I'm testing. But it's adding that to the end of the period there for some reason. Weird. But basically the scouting screen is a little easier to read now. And we still have the old, like the stuff we added last year with the location maps. One thing you'll see here is the point totals. You can only get up to, it used to be a maximum of 20 that you can get by adding scouts. That will only go up to 15 now, and then your remaining 5 points are dependent on your spending in the monthly finances scouting support section. So you can get up to 15. You can have the greatest scouts in the world, but if you're not, paying for plane tickets and hotel rooms and whatnot for them, they can't move around and do anything. So that's the last 5 points of your scouting score there. And if you're really cheap, of course, you can spend nothing at all on it, which actually degrades your scouting level. And same thing with morale. We're keeping our players happy because we're spending a ton of money on them. But if you were in serious financial trouble, which is the effect that a team, well, let's not that I'm implying or anything here, but let's have a look at Arizona. Oh, they're doing okay, actually. Is there anybody that's drifting towards the negatives? May take a couple of seasons. I do fairly often. We do see some teams. Yeah, they're low, but they're not. Did they dip into the negatives? Oh yeah, see, look how close they got there. They were down to 11 ending points at one point, and since they were that low, you can see in the owner column the following month, he's kicked in a little extra money to keep them solvent. But you should be able to see the Coyotes aren't spending the kind of money that the Canucks are on the month-to-month expenses. And if they were in real serious trouble, they could drop everything down to zero. And they would have to drop everything down to zero if their point totals were getting into the negatives, in which case they'd have penalties to their attendance, because they'd be skimping on things like concessions and attendance at the arena, and team morale will go down. You're staying in crappy hotels and flying coach maybe. And the scouting support would go down as well. So if your team gets into financial trouble, it affects everything. It's not just not being able to spend as much money on players anymore. Radcast, can you change your team logo in the game? Sure, you can. Yeah, any logo in the game you can replace. It's just a matter of going into the right folder. You can either do it in the individual save, or you can do it in the quick start, where it'll affect every new game you start, and you just have to create a logo in the same format. You can do the same thing with ice surfaces. If you have a look at the mods forum on the Out of the Park Developments FHM board, and you'll see there'll be a bunch of examples of how to do it. And I think Adam's made some YouTube videos too explaining how to do that. Okay, what time? Oh, oh wow, we're right at 8 o'clock. Okay, went through that fast. And I think I've got everything on the Canucks set to assistance. So let's just continue this forward. And we'll see. Oh, I know one thing I want to check whenever it's, or actually I'll stop it, and it looks like we lost again. There's the Bergeron card. I was going to say, let's see how this series turned out, but I think we're about to lose the Oilers anyhow. But what happened in the Olympics? China, 3 games, 1 goal for, 32 against. Ah, there we go. USA and Canada in the final game, and it's a 2-1 win for Canada. And Russia with a blowout win over Germany in the third, so in the bronze medal game. So Germany doesn't get repeat their medal performance from 2018. Well, let me just go back to, I want to see what happened in that last game. Olympics is mid-February, I think. Yeah. Two to 1 game. Canada wins it on. Oh, the States got a late goal from Carlson. John Tavares with the winning goal. And in goal for, let's see, who's Team Canada? Yeah, pretty much who I'd expect to be there. And Carey Price in goal. I guess he's healthy by that point and has a pretty good game against the States. Yeah, Hellebuck only saw 23 shots, but they wound up losing. So there we go. That's the official prediction. Canada over the U.S. In the Olympic gold medal game this year. And yeah, if anybody's wondering, since the NHL is going back to the sending its players to the Olympics, that's in the game too. And all future Olympics will be with NHL participation in the game at least. So I think we're going to wrap it up there, unless anybody's got a last minute question. Again, the game goes on sale next Monday morning, or next, no, not Monday morning, Tuesday morning, the 26th. Will be on Steam and also available from our website as well. If you want to go on Steam right now and wishlist it, that would be helpful to us. The amount of exposure you get on Steam really depends on your wishlist totals and your first day sales. So hopefully, I mean, generally we have pretty strong first days with one notable and unpleasant exception a few years back, which really hurt us overall. But as long as you get a good first day total, that tends to build a lot of momentum, and Steam gives you more exposure, and it just sort of snowballs from there. So as long as we get that the first day numbers in pretty well, we'll be doing good again, and we can keep bringing the new versions of the game to you. Okay, so thank you all for coming out, and we will be back sometime next week. Yeah, well, I guess Wednesday night, next Wednesday, with the first post-release game. I think we'll be starting a new game at that point. And hopefully everything will go on smoothly, and you should all have the game in your hands by that point. So thank you for coming out, and we will see you back here next week.